everybody, and welcome to another episode of Over the Curb podcast, a Formula One podcast for fans old and new by Formula One fans old and new. We are talking today about the Mexico GP with one and only our very own F1 historian, Honey Badger. What's up, Honey Badger?
Hello.
Another good race for the OG Honey Badger.
Yeah, not for us though.
Not for us though. Oh my god, this race is in such close competition with Imola to be the most boring race of the season. I think this is a three-way tie between Imola, France, and Mexico.
At least Imola had rain. I would say this is the worst race of the season.
Yeah, but that rain was again like it did nothing. Imola was also very boring race. You have to listen to our Imola podcast, how much we were crying about everything. It was a very boring race.
The rain did nothing, but so when it rains, you always have this excitement, right? Something's about to happen.
Yeah.
Someone is going to slid off the track. So
yeah, and that's what made it worse.
Nothing was happening.
But Imola, that's what made it worse because you're like, oh, it's raining, something is going to happen, and then nothing happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it. Qualifying. Oh, Sebastian Vettel, Aston Martin. Dude, what happened to Aston Martin? Is it because of the altitude? Because the week before that, he was fighting to the line after a shitty pit stop that put him in P13. He was fighting to the line for P8, and then this weekend they were nowhere.
Last time I asked you, is the Aston really improving, or it is because of the tracks? On the particular tracks they were good, but you told Aston was improving. I can clearly see that Aston was never improving. They had two tracks which their car was suited the best, so
no, I think it's the altitude thing. It's similar to what happened with Ferrari this weekend. There's no way that Ferrari is so bad, right? That he will be like the Red Bulls and Mercedes are top four, and then there's a fucking 20-second gap to the fifth where Carlos Sainz is. Like, yeah. I was listening to this podcast, the engine braking podcast where Break the Twitch channel, the YouTube channel that we watch for that Formula One, ex-Formula One performance engineer who started his YouTube channel.
Oh, Break F1.
Yeah. So oh my god, I can't remember. I listened to it last night. He said that it had something to do with the size of the turbo in the car.
Okay.
And so because it is on an altitude, something to do with less density and whatever. And then it was basically so if your turbo is too small, you are going to have problem on the tracks that are on an altitude. Is basically that was the problem with Ferrari, and I think that could also have been a problem with Aston Martin. Because no way this kind of, like, I'm not too concerned about the the qualifying thing, but like race, like nothing at all. Vettel could not do anything. So
yeah.
And your standard eliminations in Q1 and Q2, and then Q3, of course, Ferrari. Oh my god, Ferrari, sad.
There's nothing much to talk about Ferrari this weekend.
Yeah, but Bottas split the Ferraris. So
yeah. Where did that pace come from? Is my question.
I don't know. I just think it was just that Alfa Romeo actually was working. It was a working, functioning car. I don't know what even happens to Bottas half of the weekend, or even Zhou for that matter.
Yeah.
Like Alfa
Zhou also finished in points, right?
No, he did not. Bottas got the last place. Zhou was 13.
Okay.
Yeah. So quite an uneventful qualifying also, but it was interesting because I think because the straight is so long, like you don't want to start on P1 on this because the slipstream and everything, like it's better if you don't start on P1 on this track historically.
Yeah.
But I think that was like the thing that used to happen, right? Whoever started on pole has never won the Mexican GP or something like that.
Yes, until now. So Max was the only one who won. Yeah.
So let's Yeah,
Mostly
please continue.
because so the first corner is so wide, right? And you have a long ass straight before the first corner, close to like 700 or 800 meters.
Hmm.
The long straight, and it is kind of similar to Monza, but Monza has a way narrow corner, first corner.
Yeah,
But here you have the space to, run off and join the track easily.
join the
So
track. Yeah.
Mexico first corner is always exciting. After that, God
This
knows.
was not at all exciting. This was nothing about this was exciting. I think after the first pit stops happened, I don't think it was exciting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless I was hoping for a strategy change or something, but teams also played it safe completely. They
Yeah.
were not
So
taking risks.
I mean, from a Red Bull point of view, I can understand their strategy was pretty much okay. But the thing I don't ever have to worry about Red Bull is that they are not scared to change their strategy as and when they see an opportunity, or as and when they suspect that they might be in danger of losing
Yeah,
their track position or get overtaken by somebody, right? So
yeah,
I wasn't too concerned about Red Bull. The Mercedes strategy, man, it was just for me, it was 1.5 hours of frustration because as soon as they got on those hard tires,
mm.
I was like, it's done. The race is done. They are not winning it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And at this point, I'm like, you are either fighting for P2 in the championship or you're fighting for the win. It's not both. Like, of course, the win would help get more points, but you have to go into a race weekend one agenda. You're either going for the win or you're either going for P2 in the constructors, because they did not split the strategies between the two
Yes.
Mercedes. They did only 4 laps more than the Red Bull on used set of softs.
I was wondering why Mercedes didn't split up the strategy. I was expecting a different strategy for Russell at least.
Yes, and we've seen this time and again, like even in the like Mercedes strategy this year has been questionable. Not US, I think Miami. Again, Lewis was like, George pitted under the safety car, but Lewis again was like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to lose track position.
Miami,
So
Miami.
yeah. So I'm like, either you are worried about where you're finishing in the constructors, so you want to get maximum number of points. But then even if you want to do that, why not pit Russell for softs? They did pit him,
Mm-hmm.
but for the fastest lap point.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, had you done that like 15 laps before, he could have gotten to P3 at least. Because even
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Checo was not able to do, like Hamilton was not doing too well on the hards, but there was a threat from Checo for a couple of laps. But then even then he also fell back. Like he wasn't doing anything great in that Red Bull.
Yeah,
Whereas,
yeah, yeah.
and that's why I say that they should have committed to their strategy, because this was their good chance to get a win. And like, I'm just tired of saying this, that this could have been a chance for their win. They did not pit Hamilton during Silverstone as well under that safety car, and then he eventually finished third. They are so rigid on their strategy. I don't understand why.
This has been evident and visible since the Zandvoort race.
Yeah. And like I read somewhere that they said they looked at Latifi's time on the hards
That was the most funniest part.
and then decided that hard was the best time. I mean, like, the dude finished 2 laps down. He was lapped by his own teammates, who was, let's be honest, he was also in like somewhere 17, 18, P18, P17 position. Like,
Yeah.
Latifi had a bad race. If that is, you are basing your hard tire decision on Latifi's lap times. Okay. What about looking at Vettel, who was able to do a stint on softs for 37
Soft.
laps?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Why are you not looking at that data? And their entire thing was that Max's medium is not going to last. Max was able to nurse his tires because the moment he got a good 6-7 second lead, he did not need to push, because Lewis was not going to gain 6-7 seconds in a single lap.
Especially on the straights.
Yeah.
So there are some sections of the track where Mercedes was really strong, but Red Bull matched the lap pace with the straight line speed.
So I still think they should have committed. If not, I don't know if Mercedes could have gotten the win, because I still have to learn how to do my F1 analysis. But I still think that they could have at least forced Red Bull for a pit stop, and then maybe Lewis and Russell could have, tried to hold them off for some time, because the Red Bull did not have a fresh set of softs. That's why they started on used softs. Everybody used their softs in the race, in the qualifying, sorry. So I was like, if you have to force them to do a stop, then you have to also put pressure so that Max is forced to use his tires, and then the minute he's under threat, Red Bull is going to have to react, or they might eventually lose track position, and Mercedes could have gone for the win.
Red Bull pitted only once, right?
Yeah, they only had a one stop.
They had a two-stop strategy fixed, I think.
Yeah.
Alternatively, they just wanted to see how Mercedes responds. Max did an undercut.
Yeah, and Mercedes should have gone on their mediums. Let Max eat into their lead. Let him push. Let him lead. Let him again overtake them and lead the race. But then for the next stint, you do your softs. You take out the softs and you do that, and you start putting some pressure. At least it could have been a P2 and P3, if not the win. And
I heard them say that the mediums are dropping off and they were called into pits.
No.
The mediums were
no. What the race engineer said to them is that the medium would eventually drop off in performance, and I'm like, that is the point. Any tire you use is eventually going to drop off. That's called tire degradation. It's formula. That's racing 101. When both Lewis and George were called into the pits, they said their tires were okay. Both of them said that they don't need to come into the pits because their tires are okay. Like, even if they wanted to do a medium hard, they should have gone long on the mediums. They should have gone long.
But that hard tire wasn't working, right?
That hard tire wasn't working, but they could have gone on long enough to...
I understand, but the point is, on paper, the hard works, but on track, it wasn't working well. How do I put it? So, you remember the race where Ferrari put the hards on?
Yeah, Hungary.
Which one is it? Hungary?
Was
it Hungary?
Yeah, where they put hard on Charles's car, right?
Yeah. So when clearly it's not working, I kind of understand. So my thing is, Mercedes is stopping taking risks like before. If you take like 2018, 19, 20, they used to take risk in the last 20 laps and put the softs on and ask Hamilton to chase the others. This kind of risk taking, I am not seeing in Mercedes this year. Also, this might be due to the lack of race pace also. I am not sure as to why are they playing it safe, but I wish to see them take more risks.
Yes, and even George, before he was called into the pits, he said on his radio that I want to go longer on the mediums and then put on a soft. He said it. He wanted to do the Daniel Ricciardo strategy.
Yeah.
And
Ricciardo is the only one who stuck with the strategy, right?
He took the strategy in his own hands, I think.
Okay.
Because I think McLaren also wanted to go for a medium hard, because that's what they did with Lando.
Yeah.
And Ricciardo went long. And so, but I think that should have been the strategy, because the kind of pace Ricciardo had at the end was amazing. And I think that even if they both had gone for the medium soft strategy, the worst case scenario for them was still the positions that they finished at. P2, P4. Checo was not a threat. Checo was not as big a threat as Max was. Checo was nowhere in that race compared to where his teammate finished. So they should have gone for a medium soft, and they could have forced Red Bull to pit Max again.
It's basically 2 versus 1. You can play around.
Yes, exactly. And Toto before the race weekend said that we are ready to compromise the race of one of our drivers to get that win. And then you put both the Mercedes on the same strategy, and it's a shitty strategy. And I'm like, Toto, no. What are you doing? Because they had like a free pit stop very early on in the race. I think Carlos Sainz fell back, and there was a good 17, 18, 20 second lead from like halfway through the race. I think lap 29, 30. From then on, the Ferrari was never a threat. As for Checo, they could have split the strategy, or they could have done a medium soft and overtaken Checo as well. Like there was a risk that they could have taken to at least go for P2, P3, or maybe force Max to pit again and then defend and maybe get that win.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the entire race, I was like, okay, something is going to happen, something is going to happen, and then nothing happened at all.
This
And
race was weird. I mean, staying up late and waiting for something to happen.
yeah,
It's not worth it all.
yeah, they played it too safe. And I was like, even when I saw them do, like, you know, they pitted around lap 20 something, between lap 20 and 30, somewhere around that time. That is when they pitted. It's a 71 lap race. You've seen the hard tire is not working. Put on another set of mediums. Put on another set of mediums, because until then you have seen that the tire degradation is not. Dude, if Ferrari is able to do longer stints on mediums, I think the tire degradation is fine. The team that has suffered the most with tire degradation, if they are able to do 30 odd laps, then the tire deg is fine. You can do it.
Yeah.
So they
That is
looked at
mostly
the
because
first.
so that is because Ferrari went long because they were not fighting at the
Yeah,
front, and
yeah,
they had a bit of clean air,
yeah.
so they were in their own zone, and that made them push that longer. But usually when the Ferrari is in the mix, that's a different story.
I mean, it's not like they bring their A game for strategy. But my
No,
point is, there
not
were
regarding the strategy, but regarding the tire tag, I'm saying.
tire deck. Yeah. That's when their tire deck is high. But
Yeah.
like even if you look at the other races, Ferrari is one team, and even Mercedes to an extent, they are the teams that have suffered a lot with tire degradation compared to Red Bull. But here it was not. It was not that bad. Like even
Yeah.
if you look at Vettel and Ricardo, like they were at least okay. The people at the front, like the drivers at the front, were not as such in the fight. There was not a lot of fighting because everybody had like comfortable leads and or whatever. But if you look at Vettel, if you look at Daniel, they were still able to have their tires last and do 30 plus laps on their mediums, even while they were fighting for positions. And they were in a position where they were not in a lot of clean air. You know, they had a driver in front of them 1 second ahead, 1.5 second ahead. And there's not a lot of clean air. It's not a 7-8 second gap from the driver in front that they have a lot of clean air. It was relatively dirty air, but they were still able to make. They took the worst example on the track and mimic their strategy based on that. And I'm like, you're not looking at what Vettel is doing, you're not looking at what Ricardo is doing. And it was worth a gamble to, after doing like 15-20 laps on the hards, there could have been a gamble which they could have taken and put one Mercedes on mediums and the other on soft, split the strategy then.
Yep.
So yeah, it was boring. I mean, I've seen a lot of people defend Mercedes' decision, but I still think that if they're chasing that elusive win, they have to start taking on more risk, and they should have at least split the strategy. Like that split should have happened. And Mercedes reacting to Red Bull's undercut was very stupid. Like don't react. If you have a strategy, stick to that strategy.
So at the race start also, I was asking you, right? So I tuned into the race very late, and by the time I tuned in, they were saying something like some strategy changes strategy differences between the teams, and I think someone is on older softs, someone is on new mediums. They were saying like this. I couldn't figure out who they were talking about.
Yeah.
And it could have been a mind game 4D chess kind of thing, but turned out to be very boring.
Yes, it turned out to be just 20 drivers who are okay with the fact that they have to go around this track for 2 hours.
Except for Daniel Ricciardo.
Except for Daniel Ricciardo. But I want to save it for the last because I'm so excited. He had a good race.
Sure.
Kind of a good race. But Vettel on the softs, man, it was crazy. Like even when the pit stops started happening, like we saw a lot of, I think the majority of the grid was going on hards, and but I was like, when is Vettel going to pit? And even Daniel, I'm like, when are these guys, are they going to pit? I thought they were going to do that Alex Albon thing, the thing that he did in Australia, where he was like
56 laps,
50 laps. Yeah. I was like, he's going to pit on the last lap. They both are going to pit on the last fast laps. But yeah, but 37 laps on a soft tire.
The tire whisperer in Mexico.
Yeah, but that also shows that the tire deg was not there. It wasn't there. It was like, of course, altitude. And altitude means cooler temperature. It means the soft tire is going to. So softer compounds work on cooler temperatures, and harder compounds need higher temperatures to work. That is also another reason I think the heart did not work, was because it just can't get that temperature into the tire, because they waited and waited and waited, and like it just could not do anything. And I think I saw an analysis which said that on both of the stints, the comparison between average time that Max lapped and average time that Lewis lapped was less than a tenth of a second.
Oh,
average
compared to
Max.
okay,
So
Lewis compared to Max, you're saying.
Lewis compared to Max. So like, sure, Red Bull had pace, but that extreme Red Bull straight line speed domination that we've seen, that wasn't there. It wasn't there, because then that gap would have been much bigger.
Yeah.
Like, I saw somebody who took every single lap time for both these drivers, and they took out an average. And of course, like, your fuel loads is less and this and that, and even like you can't factor in everything, but like just on the basis of the lap times that they were doing, I think a win was possible if they had just taken a gamble. Yeah, but okay, let's talk about Gasly and Stroll.
Stroll? What happened to Stroll?
So Gasly locked up and was going for an overtake on Stroll.
Yeah. I remember.
Locked up, pushed him off the track, went off the track himself, gained the position, kept the position, did not give it back, and then eventually received a 5-second time penalty. But by the time the decision came, he was already 4 seconds ahead of Stroll. So
yeah.
I'm like, I guess smart decision that way, because I think had he tried to give the position back, Alex Albon was very close to Stroll and could have fallen back 2 positions. But Gasly is now on 10 penalty points.
2 more and there'll be a race ban.
And the funny thing is that every time in the past that the FIA has given out forcing a driver off the track or anything like that, any penalty, it's always been 2 penalty points. But because Gasly is so close to a race ban, they only gave 1 penalty point.
1 penalty point.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think Gasly should just fuck shit up in Brazil and get a race ban in Abu Dhabi, because his penalty points don't expire until May next year. It's all a question of where is he going to get his race ban? Is he going to get it in AlphaTauri, or is he going to get it in Alpine? That's the question.
He'll get it in AlphaTauri itself.
No, but like if he does not get those 12 points by the end of Abu Dhabi, and then when the next season starts and he does something stupid and gets 2 more penalty points, he could get it in Alpine. His penalty points, the first whatever is the number, I don't know what the number is, but the first penalty points are going to expire in May of 2023. So yeah, he should just the FIA should have just given him 2 penalty points. I'm like, it's a race, it's a system. I don't know why they are so scared to even ban a race driver. Yeah, give Lawson some time in that AlphaTauri, FIA. Come on, you can do it. Just do it.
Why do FIA have to interfere in that? I mean, you're saying that
yeah, I'm saying that it should have been two penalty points, so just give him 2 penalty points. If it's always been 2 penalty points, just give him 2 penalty points. I don't see the point of not doing that. But
know, weekends are not going without bringing FIA into discussion.
I mean, it's not the worst thing that they have done. I mean,
it's not the usual fuck up.
Yeah. Compared to how and what we've seen from the FIA since Singapore, I think FIA did a phenomenal job this weekend. But that's just because the bar is so low.
That's the only time we are going to praise FIA.
That's the only time we're going
for
to
something
praise
which they did.
Yes. But again, this penalty point thing is again an inconsistency, because if you look at what they've done the entire season, it's always been 2 penalty points. So I'm like, okay, cool, but okay.
FIA doing what they do best,
Yeah, but
disappointing
like
us.
anytime I hear this thing about the race ban, I immediately go to 2012 Spa, where Grosjean did what he did, and he was banned. He was straight up banned for the next race.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's what the FIA used to be. And now they're like, I think if Gasly does something next race, they are going to be like 0.25 penalty points added to your super license. I think that's what they're going to start doing.
0.25.
Yeah, because they have to draw it out because they're so scared of giving even a race ban because of penalty points. They're going to be like 0.25 because they have to make it last till May. So like there are two races left, and then I'm assuming until May there would be a good 5-6 races that would happen, considering the
Yeah.
season will start in March. So yeah, 5 or 6 races. So you have to draw it out for 8 races, right? And if you consider even one problematic thing that Gasly does every single race weekend, so that's 2 points that they have to divide in 8 races. So 0.25 math. Yeah. So I think it's going to be 0.25 penalty points for Gasly moving forward, which would be fun. But good job,
So
FIA. We don't say it often, but okay, cool. Good job.
there's
Uh,
nothing much happened in the race, so FIA didn't fuck up.
yeah, there was nothing to fuck up, but let's talk about Daniel Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda. So
God, okay, begin.
I don't give my opinions on crashes unless it is very obvious. I think and even Daniel said that he should not have gone for that move, but I think Yuki also closed the door on him or something like that.
What bullshit. It is 100% Ricardo's fault. A 100% Ricardo fault. There's no question in there. It's so evident and clear. How do you close the door there, man?
That's
Daniel
what
is not
he
even in.
said. That's what
No, no,
he
no.
said. I'm not saying that.
Yeah. No. I'm talking about Ricardo only. He can't
Yeah.
give out statements as he likes. So he's not even ahead of Sunoda, I guess, going into
Yeah,
that
he
corner.
wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't.
And that's not like a straight pit straight or something. It's a tight corner.
Yeah.
What closing the door means? What do you expect Sunoda to do? Just go off the track and give the position to you, idiot.
Okay, but yeah, he punched a hole in Yuki's car, and then Yuki had to retire, and then he got a 10-second penalty.
So,
And
so I have weird feeling about Ricardo this weekend. Everybody is praising. Oh my God, what a driver of the day! But I have my problem with Ricardo this weekend. He
which
was
is,
better. I
yeah.
mean, he was better last to last. In the last races itself, where he was alone driving his in his own way. But the problem is ending someone's race and finishing in better in points is never a good thing. So when I saw the incident, I felt it was intentionally done. He seemed like a rookie to me, and I don't like the such type of driving. I don't encourage such type of racing. That was totally uncalled for from Ricardo. I don't care what he did after the crash or how well he has driven after that. I was like, no, this is not a racing driver spirit. I am not I am not I am not as ecstatic as other people are right now after seeing Daniel Ricciardo drive like that. Being a Ricciardo fan, I'm telling you.
Yeah. I mean, it did look very uncharacteristic of him. I also think that he's fed up of driving that McLaren, dude. He's just fed up of.
Yeah.
And
He is.
I will tell you this. Like McLaren only decided to let Norris and Ricardo change positions after he got his 10-second penalty. They
I
were like,
clearly don't remember.
no, so after the decision was given that Daniel has his 10-second penalty, he was then, because he had to start building that gap and see if he can finish somewhere in points. So then eventually he's going to drop back down and maybe get a P9 or a P10 or something like that. So the decision came, and then I think Ricardo was behind Norris, and then they asked Norris to let Ricardo pass, and then Ricardo started his climb and ended up P7 with a 12-second gap to Ocon. so he got to keep his place.
Yeah, yeah.
But like that's the thing, like even, and this is again one more example of how shitty McLaren strategy calls have been towards Daniel Ricciardo. They would have kept him behind Lando Norris, even when he was on a better strategy, even when he had the potential of scoring more points than Lando Norris. That has been the case throughout. It's been the case in Canada, it's been the case in Austria. I get why the dude is frustrated, because they're trying to paint this narrative that he is always going to finish behind Lando Norris. But the thing is that most of the time, they're putting him on shitty strategy and they're asking him to play the team game. They sacrificed his race in Baku for a very stupid overcut that they wanted to do, which did not even work. They literally ruined his entire race because Ricardo had pace there. So yeah, I understand his frustration and I see the deliberation that he had in that particular incident. But that's the only thing that gave him an opportunity to even do something on the track. Otherwise, they would have been like, okay, Ricardo, you have to, okay, Daniel, just stay behind Norris. That's always been the case. That's been the case this entire season. And yeah, people can say that I'm like a Ricardo fan and it's a conspiracy theory. No, go to the McLaren app. You can listen to all the radios and everything. I have seen those radio conversations that happened between both the drivers, like from their pit wall to both the drivers. So I've seen those conversations. This has happened multiple number of times where they have sacrificed Daniel's race or they've not let Daniel finish ahead of Lando. So I mean, granted, Lando was on hards, but I again think that was their strategy for both their drivers, and they again would have wanted Ricardo to finish behind. Ricardo made the call that he was not going to come in and he would go on softs for the end, and he did what he did.
He did what he should have done. What must be done was done by him. What other teams wanted to do was done by him.
Yes. What other teams should have done was done by him.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the drive was amazing after that, but
no, I understand that, but I also, that is the only way they would have let him pass Lando. That penalty was the only reason they let him pass Lando. Otherwise, they wouldn't have.
Understood.
They would have been like, okay, you stay behind.
That dive-in looked completely intentional.
Yeah. I totally agree. He was frustrated. Whether it was McLaren, whether it was the fact that he was not able to overtake Yuki or whatever it was, he was just fed up. So that incident was very deliberate and he got a 10-second penalty. And then he ended up scoring more points than Lando Norris. But better. I think the last two races we are going to see Daniel in his villain era. He's going to make his own strategy calls. And I hope he does not do any more incidents like this, but I think he's going to take a lot of it in his own hands. And maybe, just maybe, he might not listen to team orders if they ask him to stay behind Lando.
Please do that.
Yes, I want to see Daniel Ricciardo in his villain era. It's coming like 20 races too late, but I would want him to end his apparent F1 career with a bang. I want him to be in his villain era now. I'm done with always smiling, always happy Daniel Ricciardo. I think a lot of it is coming from the USGP. Man, should have seen him after the USGP. He was just so sad and broken and disappointed, and like I don't think I even have a word in my my vocabulary to even express how he looked after that race. So
they didn't show him at all, right? He was invisible.
He was fighting Latifi,
he was not on
man.
The camera.
Yeah,
16.
He was so far back. What will you show? And like there was still an intense enough battle going on in the front with like Vettel, Charles, Max, Lewis. There was so much happening in that GP. Why would they show Daniel Ricciardo, who's fighting Latifi for P16? I understand that. So I want to see Daniel Ricciardo's villain era for the remaining two races. He should do this now. He should be like, Mexico, he made his own calls. He finished ahead of Lando. If he does the same thing in Brazil and Abu Dhabi, it's just going to prove that it was McLaren making those shitty calls. And there is enough evidence to prove that. Austria, I remember very vividly. sprint race, he wanted to overtake Lando because he kept saying, I have more pace, let me pass him. And sprint race, they both finished out just outside of points, I think 9th and 10th.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, they don't let him pass Lando, and then they shit talk him in the media saying that he's not outperforming Lando. I'm like, you're not letting him pass. And he
That
has
is
been
mostly because of the last year bias, right?
No, I understand that, but like anytime, even anytime Lando has asked to pass Daniel, they have explicitly told Daniel to let Lando pass. And okay, last year's bias, but he is their last race winner. I know he had an overall shitty season, but he is their last race winner. And it's not like he did not have any pace left in him, because he did set the fastest lap on the last lap of the race. He took away maximum points. He took away 26 points in that race. So
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, Lando fans, have said that, oh, Lando was only playing the team game, this, that. I'm like, okay, Lando, you were well within, you are their chosen boy. You know, McLaren, like Lando Norris is the Max Verstappen of McLaren, right? They're not going to do anything to you should you decide to not obey team orders. They're not going to do anything. They might have a stern talking to after the race, but that's it. That is all it's going to be for you. So nobody was stopping you from disobeying the team order and going for that win. He wouldn't have been able to. I'm telling you, he wouldn't have been able to.
You know, when talking about Lando Norris, I have seen this funny tweet somewhere. It's coming from either Helmut Marko or Horner.
Yeah. Like every time we talk about him being in Red Bull, he signs a contract with McLaren.
He signs an extension with McLaren.
Oh, I know.
See, was that legit?
Okay,
That's
so
a legit statement from Horner, or
I think Helmut Marko made that statement. So
I
I'm
thought
not.
it was a troll or something.
No, but like I saw this, I can't remember if it is a valid source or not, but I did see this a list of things that like a list of instances where Lando Norris has talked to McLaren and talked to Red Bull and then signed an extension with McLaren. So 2017, after his talk with Helmut Marko went bad, he enters the McLaren Academy and signed to be test and reserve driver. Okay, cool. They say that the talk went bad, so I don't know the details of that. 2018, July or August, Helmut wanted Lando to replace Hartley mid-season in Toro Rosso. In exchange, Marco will let James Key go to work with McLaren early. Lando signed to be a McLaren driver for the 2019 season early mid-August. So again, 2021, Marco said that he wanted Lando for the Red Bull seat. Lando signed a new contract with McLaren for 2022 with the option for more years. And then early 2022, Marco had talks with Lando about a seat in Red Bull in the future. Lando signed with McLaren until 2025 in February. Oh, Lando is trolling Helmut Marko and Red Bull
multiple times.
Yes, I don't know how true this is, but apparently, and I've heard this statement made by Horner and Helmut both, that they were in talks with Lando for the second Red Bull seat. And even after that, Helmut, I think, has made a statement that the second driver in the Red Bull seat has to just accept the fact that Max Verstappen is going to be faster than them. So I'm like, okay, cool, good for you. Max is not stopping smashing records, dude. What is happening?
Yeah.
14th race win. He's passed Michael and Sebastian Vettel for most race wins in a season. And yeah, people will say that we have longer seasons, this, that. But I can see him finishing with 16 wins in a season. Like, who's stopping him?
I am predicting, there is no one stopping him until unless Red Bull will step in and do something to his car.
Which they won't.
There is no one to stop him.
Yeah, unless George Russell does some terrorism in the first lap.
The only hope I have is Lewis in Brazil. That's it.
Man, I want Lewis to win Brazil so badly, but Mercedes' strategy, you can't beat them on pace. I really think they need to start finding something in their strategy. A
Oh, I
chance,
thought you
a
would say
better
find better
chance.
strategies.
Yeah, that's what I said. They have to start finding something in their strategies. That's what I said.
No. I thought you were telling they should find a better strategist.
Hire me. I would have,
The
dude.
Ferrari virus has spread.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, so I am in this Twitter group chat, okay? A lot of F1 fans, very genuinely, very nice people, and but all Lewis fans, okay? I have no trouble in accepting the fact that my GCs in Twitter are echo chambers of what my biases are. So I am in one Daniel Ricciardo fan group chat, and I am in one Lewis Hamilton fans group chat, and I am not ashamed. But I started saying from lap 30, 35 onwards, change that damn tire. Change the tire on either of the Mercedes. Change the tire. I knew in lap 30, 35 that we are not going to win the race unless they do something in their strategy. But yeah, I think Mercedes was more prone to taking such risks in the first half of the season. They did it multiple times with George, or maybe George was more assertive in saying that, okay, I want to try this, whatever it was. But I think that element of their racing is gone now. Now that they are closing in the gap, they've started becoming more conservative, which it does not make sense. You're still not going to be able to beat Red Bull on pace. You have to find a better strategy. So whoever is the current strategist, all the love to you, but please take some risk.
I think it's James Walls.
Yeah. So take a strategy, Formula One strategy 101 class by Hannah Schmidt. That lady is awesome. Oh my God.
Yeah.
She is so amazing. I have no words.
Brilliant.
If I ever get to a place that I become an F1 strategist, I will just want to pick Hannah's brain for 4 days straight to understand how she does what she does, because she is such a boss lady. She's like, nope, we are doing this. I became a fan of her in Mexico last year because she made an amazing call on Max's strategy that led him to win the race. They did an extra stop. And that's my point. Like, it's not always necessary that a 2-stop strategy is going to be slower than a 1-stop strategy.
Yeah.
So, which is why it's called strategy, because you can fuck around. So, like a 1-stop medium hard could
Don't
be
fuck around too much, or else you'll become Ferrari strategist.
Yeah, don't have like plan HIJ. That is too much. But yeah, that instinct to react, looking at the situation, looking at a lot of things. I think it was also the Pirelli test, dude, that robbed them of the time, because nobody was able to do longer runs on their race tires. I just can't wrap my head around how you can look at Latifi's pace and then say that hard is the best tire. It became the minute Sebastian Vettel was able to do 30 plus laps on the softs, I was like, the tire, like, it's not, his tire is not going to follow, because he does not have to push. He was already like 10 seconds ahead. So anyways, Mercedes, please pick a better strategy. Like, even with a bad strategy, but even with a bad strategy, you're finishing P2, P4. It's okay to take a gamble. The worst case scenario for them would have been P3, P4. That's the worst that could have happened.
Yeah, because Ferraris weren't catching up.
Yeah, that was the worst case scenario for them. So that's why I said I said you're either going for the win or you're going for the P2.
So no, there is this thing called traffic also.
Yeah.
So especially with the long DRS trains at back, they were worried about coming out behind them. So
the minute that Ferrari was 20 seconds behind, they had a free pit stop, and that was around lap 30.
30, yeah.
Yeah. They could have easily, because Lewis was P2, then there was Perez, and then there was George. They could have easily double stacked also, because there was enough gap between both of them. If they wanted to pit both of them, they would have still come out. They would have come out P3, P4 ahead of Ferrari if they had just. And okay, maybe their strategy game is not on point, but they have done beautiful double stacks this season. Mercedes, anytime they've gone for a double stack, they've done it really, really well.
Yeah.
So, and there was no need to do a double stack, but yeah.
Only once in their lifetime they fucked up the double stacking, and that was Russell's first race in Mercedes.
Sakir,
yes, that was a double stack, right?
No, I think they put Russell's tires on Bottas or something like that. That's what they did, right?
Oh yeah. That wasn't a double stack.
That wasn't a double stack. They mixed up the tires. That was the thing. But yeah. So again, if you're going for the win, you can't play this safe. If you're going for the P2, then stop saying that you're going for the win. Then you maximize points. But even then, it would have made sense to pit Russell for softs with like 15 laps to go, so he could have overtaken Checo on softs, and you would have finished P2, P3, more points. So either way, that call did not make sense. But okay, I can talk about Mercedes' strategy this weekend for a very long time, because it's, dude, 1:30 the race started for us. 1:30 in the night the race started for us, and then to see such a shitty race, I was
and frustrated. Hold your sleep.
Yeah, and I was like, anyways. So yeah, Max Verstappen's racing records. Okay, we have gone off a lot of. So he breaks the record of most number of wins in a season and most points scored in a season. So he overtakes Lewis.
Deserved.
Breaks. Yeah.
I mean, the car is not a rocket ship.
But the others
we
are
all
too
know
far
how that
back.
happened.
Yeah, we all know how that happened. In Ferrari, this is the first half of the season that Ferrari should have had. They are, if only.
At least one out of the two Ferraris were there in the mix, no? This wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
At least one.
Yeah, but they were going for plan E, explode Dude, every single race weekend.
So you remember the last column in Excel? It'll be some XFD or something.
Yeah.
I think Ferrari has all the plans until there.
None of them is a race winning plan.
None of them is a race winning plan for sure.
My God. Yeah, I think plan H, plan I, plan J, that is too much planning, right? And those plans don't make sense if you're not able to identify which plan to execute when, depending on what the conditions on the track are, depending on when there is a safety car, depending on what the other team has done. So like they are just making possible permutation combinations of what the strategy can be, but not assessing when those strategies should be used. I think if there are 10 steps involved in making a strategy, I think they're missing a couple of them. They're skipping some of them.
No, I think they're adding two more. They're complicating.
No, but first step is identifying the strategy. Second step is
no. So
what is the time going to be? Third is does this offset Red Bull's plan? Fourth is, so I think they're skipping in that, and then after following those 10 steps, you're like, is this a viable strategy or not? So I think they are skipping. So because they're not able to reach that conclusion, that's why they have like some 15 million strategy plans.
I think so. So let's say for softs, the window is 13 to 17 laps. So for those 13 to 17 laps, they have 4 different strategies, like pitting 14 lap when there is a safety car, come with the mediums, or if Red Bull reacts, there is another strategy. So this way they're planning, and they're overcomplicating themselves.
So one big whiteboard where there's just branches. It's like, okay, soft, we start on softs, pit on 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There are 5 branches, and then in that there are 2 more. It's like, okay, we can go on mediums, or we can go on hards, or we can put another set of soft, and then what happens, and then how many laps. I think that's what they're doing. That's how they're coming up with these many plans, but they're not able to assess which strategy to go for. Yeah. I think Binotto also made a comment saying that Mercedes has also lost race wins because of their strategy, guys. Like, we are not the only ones. But like, no, you're the guy with the fastest car on track. That's the problem. It does not matter. Like when the season started, I was not like, okay, Mercedes is not going to get a win. They have too many problems in that car. But when the season started, it was like, oh, Ferrari is going to get in the mix, and then they were not. That is the problem. Have
Yeah,
you seen
yeah.
that? He said that. He's like, we are not the only ones who have lost wins because of strategy. He said that. And
Dude, I don't give a damn about Helmut Mark or Christian Horner or Matteo Binotto's words anymore. I just don't
but
care them at all.
Toto is not in that list. I thought you would add Toto also.
टोटो तो कब को गया होगा. He has
Okay.
gone for a long time now.
Okay.
I stopped caring for Toto in 2016 only.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I was happy when he was shouting on the mic in the Abu Dhabi race. No, Mikey,
No,
no. I
Mikey,
enjoyed
no.
that moment. Yeah, I whatever. You can curse me, tell me whatever things you want, but I enjoyed that moment a lot.
Hey, I mean, see, this is the fact, right? I have said this multiple times. I know I'm missing a lot of context of what has happened. I know I'm watching the older races, but then there are a lot of things. Like, I'm not following the older seasons like I'm following this one, right? Where I'm not keeping up with the media statements and whatever other things happened. I am just solely focusing on what happened on the track. That is all I'm doing. So I'm not going to judge anybody on something. And it's not like I like Toto 100% of the times. I'm like, okay, Toto, this is a bit much. And I'm okay to, I don't have any problem calling out my team at any point of time. Dude, you should watch a Liverpool match with me. The way I insult them, nobody who hates Liverpool can. If they're playing shitty, the way I insult them, nobody else can. I was watching the Champions League final, which is Liverpool Madrid, right? And
2021 final.
whatever the last final was, I don't know how the
Yeah,
year
21.
works in. Yeah. So
Oh, sorry,
and
22 final.
yeah, so I was watching it with my friend, and I think around 60-65 minute mark, he was like, bro, are you sure Liverpool is your team? Because I was roasting them so much. I was like, what are they doing? What are they fucking doing on the field? I don't understand. And yeah, it's fun. I'm never afraid to call out on my own, and I judge them way too harshly than I would judge any other team for that matter. So it's hard
Yeah,
to be
but
the team that I support.
But why do you be so harsh when you're new to the sport? I understand if you're harsh towards your NBA team, but I don't understand
No, I'm not.
Liverpool and
I'm new to see. I'm not new to soccer as a sport. I know soccer. I've watched soccer. Sorry, football. Why am I saying soccer? This is the
no.
downside of working with Americans to call it soccer. But yeah, I've watched football, so I know football as a sport. I know football, and so I'm like,
So my
play
point is
better.
to be that harsh and call out your team and throw words at them. You need to have some knowledge about the technicalities also, right? Like during the game, how they are playing. You need to have that
Yeah, but I
understanding.
like
I hope
if
you have that understanding.
yeah, but like, if Trent is supposed to defend and he's not running back when they're under attack and that results in a goal, it's not a technicality, it's
Okay,
stupidity. That's what
okay. Yeah,
those
yeah,
are
yeah.
the behaviors I'm calling out. I'm not like,
Understood,
hey,
understood.
Klopp does not know who gets to play this, that. I don't know that much. Okay. I am
Yeah,
not
yeah.
calling those things. But when mistakes are apparent, that's where I call them out. It's not like
Understand.
no, I don't pretend to be an expert at all. I just want to preface this. I am not an expert in any way, shape, or form. But when a mistake is that apparent, I am not going to sit and defend, oh, Trent was tired, he did not expect this, or I'm not going to sit and make excuses for Trent. I'm going to be like, yeah, Trent, that was stupid. You've been playing for so long. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah.
Got it. All right.
My God. I've never had to defend roasting my own team to anybody else. But yeah, no, I totally understand. Very legit point. But yeah, I again, as in Formula One, I call out very basic shits in football as well, because I know I don't know too much, but whatever it is that I know, if my team has done something wrong in those aspects, I will definitely say that you've done this wrong. Like Allison having the ball in his hand and he passed it to Manchester City twice, and both times they scored. I'm like, Allison,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Yeah, those are the things I call out, because that is apparent, right? Because Manchester City is blue, we are red. I'm like, have you suddenly gone colorblind? Are you not able to see that you have to pass to red colored people? Because I'm like, once is a mistake, twice is, I don't know what twice is. But then he scored against West Ham, the last minute goal, and then I was like, okay, Allison, I love you again. So I have that kind of relationship with my football team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this still a Mexico GP podcast
I
we are
don't
recording?
think so. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
That's what this Mexico 2022 did to us.
That's what this race should have been. And dude, the only reason this was like so boring was because we were not watching together, because otherwise we would have just started discussing like football or some other shit, because this is what this weekend was. Like, there's just nothing to talk about. It's just waiting for something to happen, and in the meantime, while we wait for something to happen, we're discussing football. That's it. That was the entire weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Raymond is
Can't
going to
believe I
have fun
sacrificed my
listening to
sleep.
this. Yeah, same man, same. I should have slept. Can't believe I wasted a glass of wine on this. I could have slept and woken up and watched the highlights, and we would have been able to we would have been able to record this podcast. I didn't need to
Yeah.
stay up 2 hours. Yeah. So, anyways, Brazil, last sprint of the year, and Lewis Hamilton's second home race, and
Hamilton to win the sprint race, Hamilton to grab a pole, Hamilton to win the race.
yeah, I don't see that happening, man. Somebody is going to have to turn that Red Bull down to like 60% for Hamilton to win that race. It's not happening.
Come on, Luis,
Yeah.
we want a Grand Slam.
As much as I want that to happen, it's not happening. It's not
Well,
happening, dude.
Yeah, I think they have a good chance this weekend, but
We have been
also,
saying this for so long. I'm tired of saying this. Said it in Mexico. We saw it in Silverstone. We were not saying it in Silverstone, but we saw it in Silverstone. Lewis had a good chance of winning that race. Lewis had a good chance of winning a race in Netherlands. US, I would not say. I don't think Lewis ever had a chance, but it was a good fight for the win. I don't think they had the pace. But Mexico, they had a good chance. But like, I'm tired of saying that also. But
also the
yeah,
Red Bull is kind of strong in this Brazil circuit. It has been strong for so long time now.
yeah. Dude, that Red Bull is so strong. Like, it does not matter where they start. They are going to win the race. Or like, Max is going to win the race.
Yeah.
Like, it's
For
not
sure.
even like there's a fight between Max and Checo.
Basically, the F1 community is not divided as to predicting who will win the race.
Yeah,
It's
it's Max
always
Verstappen,
one name.
number 33. But yeah.
F2 season completed.
No, Abu
It's
Dhabi.
done, no?
I mean, the championship is wrapped, but Abu Dhabi
Yeah,
race is left.
Race is left. F3 is completely wrapped.
Oh yeah, got finished in Monza.
W series is wrapped. And what
W series was
PT ending.
suspended because they did not have money.
Yeah. What a pity ending.
So I was listening to this again Engine Head F1 podcast, okay, and they had this guest on. She is an F1 TikToker. Her name is Tony Coven Brown, and she creates like good content and everything. And she said that this year all the Formula Championship have had their champions decided in such an uncelebratory way. Like F3 champion, F2
Understood.
champion, again W Series champion, Max Verstappen. Like, it's sad, and like that episode was so interesting. She talks about what exactly is, how much of an impact does W Series actually have of getting women in motorsports, and how is the FIA or just F1 community in general fucking up W series or like creating hype around it and all these sort of things. What is the future of content that people are going to consume in Formula One and with the trends that we are seeing now? So it's just, there is just so much good content about Formula One, dude. It's not just about listening to Martin Brundle and Will Buxton and Ted Kravitz and all these, no doubt, amazing people who do provide excellent commentary. But yeah, that was a very fresh perspective. I quite enjoy listening to a lot of these podcasts. And I have not listened to a single episode of F1 Beyond the Grid, but I'm listening to these podcasts. I'm yet to start on Tech Heads, but I am so excited. They only have, I think, 7 episodes out and around 1 hour, but this like solely dedicated to the technical aspect of Formula One. I'm already so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you
So
should start listening to Beyond the Grid also. I love the Susie Wolf episode. Loved it.
yeah, maybe, man. I mean, see, the thing is that I listen to podcasts for 10 hours every day when I'm working because
Yeah, same.
yeah, because my work is so dull and boring that I don't need to that I'm able to concentrate on 2 things at once. So yeah,
Basically
but
not creative.
yeah, so I have
Mm.
but that's the thing. I have so many podcasts that I listen to, and after a point, what it becomes is if I'm just listening to Formula One content, then it becomes like this overdose because we are talking
Monotone.
about
Yeah.
Formula One. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
I feel
watching
that.
every other race weekend, every single race weekend we are watching, and then after that, every single one of these podcasts is going to have an episode. We are going to record an episode, and then keeping up with all the news and everything. So when we like right now, like after Brazil, there's going to be Abu Dhabi. So these are like back-to-back race weekends. So that's the time when I would actually slip into some other kind of a podcast. But then when the season break starts, maybe that's when I will pick up on Beyond the Grid. Yeah. So Brazil, Brazil, one of okay. Yeah.
We
say.
haven't talked about the Sky Sports Max Verstappen thing yet.
Oh yeah, Ted Kravitz, Max Verstappen, Red Bull boycott. What are
You
your
go
thoughts?
first.
No. You go first.
I am hugely against the Brit media mafia.
Okay.
Anyway, so I've been seeing this in PL also. I've been seeing this in F1 also. I've been seeing this in cricket also. Everywhere, this Brit media sucks, and they don't respect the player. I mean, whatever the athletes, whoever come from the other nations, as much as they respect their own countrymen. I mean, it's
Okay.
kind of natural.
Mhm.
But if there is the slightest opportunity, they'll be the ones first in the line to jump on and be ready to degrade the other athletes.
Okay.
I've never liked the Brit media, and same goes with Crofty. I mean, he's a great commentator. I'm not taking that away from him. Martin Brundle, again, shitty opinions sometimes.
Martin Brundle, the thing that irritates me the most is when they get names wrong in the commentary.
I am still fine with the names. Okay,
Because I get confused. They're like there are a couple of times when they've called Vettel Stroll and vice versa or something like that, and I'm like, hold on, when did Stroll get there? I'm like, because I know Vettel was running there, so I get confused momentarily. That's my problem. But yeah, I will let you finish and then I will give you my thoughts.
Yeah. So is Ted Kravitz British?
I don't know, man. I'll have to check Ted.
I think Anthony
Yeah,
Davidson
he's British reporter.
Yeah, no wonder. So here is my thing.
Hmm.
For all those who are saying Max cheated, not Red Bull, and Max didn't deserve the title, I don't agree with any of you. That's okay. You can debate as much as you want. But the problem is there is a 50-50 chance that Max wouldn't have known that Red Bull is overspending.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
There is a 50-50 chance. Okay.
Okay.
There is a he has done nothing wrong in that Abu Dhabi final.
Agreed.
So why the guys are shitting on especially Max, not Red Bull?
Okay.
I mean, say Red Bull cheated. Say I understand. In place of Max, if there was another driver also, they would have said the same thing. Except that driver wasn't British.
Yeah.
That's what that is my whole point.
Right.
If Max Verstappen was British, that discussion would have been different for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
I'm finished.
Okay. What Ted Kravitz said I've
So,
listened to what he said.
okay.
He was talking about the whole Brad Pitt thing, okay, the movie thing, and
Hmm.
he said that the racing officials decided to change the rules and hand the title to the other driver and robbed Lewis Hamilton of his eighth win, of his championship win. That is what Ted Kravitz said. This is what was said.
Oh, okay. It's the other media who twisted and sent out the news
He
to.
And again, I will say this, I have only
Hmm.
watched a segment of this clip, but this
Hmm.
robbing Lewis Hamilton thing was never said in context of Red Bull, because Red Bull did not rob Lewis Hamilton. It was Michael Massey, and
Hmm.
FIA
Hmm. Hmm.
has accepted that, right?
Hmm.
FIA has
Yes.
accepted that. They have published a report saying that it was human error and that they will not change the championship. Okay, I don't have a problem with that. Ted Kravitz, and again, I will say this, I've watched a segment of that clip. So the robbing thing was said in context of a racing official. He did not even name Masi. He said that the guy in charge, or the race official, or whatever term he used, he changed the
Hmm.
rules, gave the championship to the other driver, and robbed Lewis Hamilton.
Hmm.
That is what he said. Now, what I think this is to avoid any more questions about the cost cap thing. This entire thing of the Sky boycott and everything
Hmm.
is just to avoid more questions about cost cap, because they've just done it for Mexican GP. And 2 days before the Mexican GP weekend was when we got the penalties, and Christian Horner had a press conference or whatever. And again, I will say this, every single commentator has had a bias, okay, every single one of them have had a bias,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's okay to have your biases, but the way that Red Bull has painted this narrative, and the shit that Ted Kravitz is receiving in his DMs and Twitter, if you're doing that, you are a shitty person. If you are shitting on somebody for having an opinion that is different than you and sending him death threats and whatever, and just sending them shitty DMs, you are a fucking loser. Stop doing that. But he never said Red Bull. I think it was just a deflection technique that has worked very well, because now Red Bull has said that they don't have a problem from next week onwards. Because now, next week onwards, when they do go to Sky, either Sky reporters are going to apologize to him, or they are going to be like, they're going to totally ignore everything and just talk about the race weekend. But Ted Kravitz never explicitly said Red Bull or Max Verstappen robbed Lewis Hamilton of his eighth win.
Oh, okay. Then it's my mistake then. So I have read articles about them, about the whole feud between Max Verstappen and Ted Kravitz, and literally every article said that Ted Kravitz said something like Max was undeserving, Lewis was the real champion in that context.
So that's what I'm saying.
Hmm.
The robbing thing was said in context of Michael Massey. He might have said sentences after or before that. My understanding was that he was just talking about this plot of the movie, and he was like, he can make this movie where, there's this fight to the championship, and then in the last race, when both the contenders are on equal points, and the race official changes the rules and gives the championship to the other driver, and Lewis Hamilton was robbed, because that is what happened. So
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
not,
yeah.
not, he may have said that. And if he said
Okay.
that, he is wrong. Max Verstappen absolutely deserved to win the 2021 championship. It's the way that he won that has caused the controversy. At no point in that entire season would I have said that Max Verstappen does not deserve to win the championship, because he was a phenomenal driver throughout that season. So I'm just saying,
No,
it's a
the
good
fact that
deflection.
people are still coming online and saying that the championship trophy should be given back
To Lewis
or should be
Hamilton, no, I
stripped
don't want
off.
that.
No, no, stripped off from Max
Right.
Verstappen. What bullshit is this? I
That's
don't get it, man.
it's not going to see that. That's the problem, right? The way Abu Dhabi ended, this debate is
Hmm.
never going to end.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
the
yeah.
FIA does something, if the FIA don't do anything, either
This
way,
will be a
they are
reference.
yes, this is always going to keep on happening, and people are going to commentate and people have biases, so these controversies are going to keep on happening. That's the problem. That's the entire problem with that one decision that Michael Massey took. That one decision has now, this has become the discourse on Twitter when it comes to talking about F1, because it's just always going to be about, like, even this season, any talks that are happening on Twitter, if I see anything that happens on Twitter, I can't believe it is still about Max and Lewis. Why is it about Max and Lewis? They're not even competing for the same position in the championship. Like, how is it still? But that is what the conversation has become, and that is what the conversation always going to be. That is the real repercussions of what happened with that one decision. And F1 Twitter is never going to now be united, because that has driven a wedge that is just, it's just never going to fill up. It's divided us as fans for eternity, because this championship will be talked about for next 10 years. I'm telling you, this is never going to go away. No matter how many championship Lewis wins after this, no matter how many championship Max wins after this. And again, with the cost cap thing and all these revelations of the 2021 season coming out this late into the 2022 season, it's again adding this air of Max Verstappen is should not be the champion because the car is illegal. Now it's about car being illegal, because because there's this conversation about, oh, of course Red Bull carried the advantage of last year to this year and this, that, blah blah blah. So it's just, the reason Abu Dhabi was bad is because of lot of things, and Lewis Hamilton not winning his 8th championship, or Max Verstappen being given his first championship in such a controversial way, is just one of them. But yeah, this is what it has become. And like, dude, there are so many other commentators who clearly have a Max Verstappen bias, and it's okay, man. That's the thing. People are going to have their biases. We on this podcast, we have our biases. We try to be as objective as we can, but when we talk Formula One to each other, we obviously have our own biases. So that it's a very human thing to do, to have your own biases. But I don't think in this context, in what Ted Kravitz said with Lewis Hamilton being robbed, he never mentioned Max Verstappen being the one who robbed him. He might have said later that Max did not deserve the championship. That would have been wrong. If he said that, I don't know if he said that, but if he said that, that is wrong. He absolutely deserved to win the championship. Not in the way it happened, but he absolutely 100% did. So yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted to say.
Agreed to everything.
So, okay, this is not coming from a very reliable source, but the rumor is that Haas will announce Nico Hülkenberg as their second driver for 2023 this Thursday.
Yeah, this has been going around since last 2 days, I guess.
Yeah. And Sebastian Vettel has said that he cannot rule out an F1 comeback. I'm telling you, man, he's coming back with Audi. I am telling you, he's coming back with Audi. He's such a big Schumi fan. Of course, he's coming back with Audi. It's like, Schumi did the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing. He's coming back with Audi. And I am hype AF. Mick Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel, Audi 2026. Let's make it happen. Let's start a petition. Okay. All right. So let's do predictions.
Yeah. How did we pull 2 hours of content out of this shitty race?
Yeah, I think if we just have to look at Formula One content, that would be like 30 minutes. Everything else was football and some other shit we talked about. Okay, so Shaguri predicted Lewis, George, Charles, fastest lap to George, Max, DNF, Stroll out of points, and both Haas out of points. So he gets 3 points. Kramer predicted Max, Checo, George, fastest lap to Max, both Alpine in points, Vettel above Stroll, and Bottas above Zhou. So he gets 4 points, 2 for Max, and then Vettel above Stroll and Bottas above Zhou. You predicted Max, Checo, Lewis, fastest lap to Max, both Aston Martin into Q2. This broke my heart. Yeah. At least one McLaren in points. Both of them were in points, so you get 1 point there. And at least 2 DNFs in the race. Man, I was so sure that you will not get those points. But then Honey Badger came through for Honey Badger. So you get 4
Yeah.
points. And I predicted Max Lewis Charles. Fastest lap to Checo. Daniel Ricciardo makes it to Q2. Alonso out of points. And Aston Martin P6 in constructors. So I get 6 points. Yay! Yay! I think I am leading the prediction league.
League.
Yes. Hold on. I got 6. Shakuni got 3. Kramer and you both got 4. So let's see. Yeah. Oh, we are both tied in first place at 60 points. And then Kramer is second with 56 and Shakuni is third with 52.
How much is the gap between Kramer and us?
It is 4 points.
3 points? 4
4.
points. Okay.
So yeah, pretty exciting championship battle. All right. I can't believe we talked for so long on this. It's going to be fun to edit. Yeah, okay. Thanks, man, for joining. And thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode. I hope you had fun. We had a lot of fun. And yeah, if you have any feedback for us, if you want us to cover anything, or if you want to be part of the podcast, write to us at overthecurvepodcast@gmail.com. Reach out to us on our Instagram at overthecurvepodcast or on our Twitter at overthecurvepod. We are also on YouTube. Watch our YouTube videos. It's the same podcast, but just on YouTube. So if you like that, if you want free content and don't want to take a Spotify membership, go watch us on YouTube. And until Brazil sprint weekend, woo woo! I don't know why
Sao
I get so
Paulo.
excited for sprint weekend. I don't know.
Brazil sprint will be good.
Yeah, Brazil, dude, the last Brazil sprint was so good. Oh, Lewis Hamilton disqualification, and then
Yeah.
it was so good. Nothing's
Charging
going to be
through
able
the
to
field.
top. Yeah, nothing's going to be able to top that.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. Okay. Until Brazil. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.